Welcome to episode 2 of the MS Refresh Show. I am Matt Wade from the U.S. East Coast.
And I'm Sean Bugler from the West Coast.
And today we are doing... Wait, which country?
America.
And today we are going to be discussing all of the updates in the Microsoft roadmap and Message Center, all of those types of things happening in the Microsoft Cloud for the week of December 7th, 2020. Sean, we had episode 1. I think that went reasonably well. What do you think?
Yeah, I felt good about it. I did not get any critique about my hair, and I would like to go ahead and go on record and say to our audience, I am sincerely appreciative. Please keep it up.
I think if you put your COVID hair and my book beard together, you get one hell of a man. I am, not the most manly, I think, no offense. You aren't either, but if you put us together in the hair situation, we are just the manliest of men out there.
We are one person. I feel like that's probably like from a social and humor perspective as well. Like, I think that we collectively are one person.
Yeah, definitely. We really just kind of close. We take the map of the U.S. and the atlas, and you get the East and West Coast together. You get the man. You get the. It's just all good. And that's just going to bring us into our first segment for today, which is your segment covering the news.
This is the news.
Starting November 30th, Microsoft has formally dropped support for Microsoft Teams on Internet Explorer 11. This, of course, is one of many sunset dates announced by Microsoft back in August, as it marches towards August 17th, 2021, when they aim to halt Microsoft 365 support for the browser entirely. Of course, their new browser, Microsoft Edge, does support an Internet Explorer mode that should allow most modern enterprises to comfortably migrate away from the grips of the legacy browser. The acquisition that sent waves through the tech sector, Salesforce has acquired Microsoft Teams competitor Slack for $27.5 billion, or, if you'd like, 27.5 Instagrams. While not directly Microsoft news, it's inescapable that this has an effect. And good on them, I say. This market is young, and it needs competition, and Microsoft Teams is better for it. It remains to be seen exactly how Salesforce will capitalize on their newfound acquisition. But between Heroku, Tableau, Quip, and of course Salesforce itself, it's not hard to see the looming holistic threat on the horizon for Microsoft. Microsoft is wrapping up the release of new administrative controls to allow end users to opt into unreleased features in Microsoft Teams. Off by default, access to the public preview opt-in can be made available on a per-user or policy-specific basis. This is distinctly separate from Microsoft's targeted release program, which Teams is not currently a part of. In response to growing concern and criticism, Microsoft announced late last week, not coincidentally after we released our own episode related to the subject, that they are revising some key elements of the productivity score, specifically reporting that would have allowed administrators to see whether specific users had done things like send email, use chat, or post in Yammer over a 28-day period. In the same post, Microsoft Corporate Vice President Jared Spataro was quoted as saying the goal of this tool was never intended to be used to score individual user productivity, and that the user interface would be modified to, quote, make it clearer that productivity score is a measure of organizational adoption of technology, end quote. Rolling out now, Microsoft Edge version 88 brings support for hotly anticipated features like vertical tabs, increased controls for browser cookies, single sign-on for Azure Active Directory accounts on macOS, a password leak monitoring service, and, in a move that has been a long time coming for browsers everywhere, the removal of Adobe Flash support. Road warriors of 2020 rejoice. Microsoft has begun work to support HTML formatted signatures in Outlook for iOS. No word yet on whether similar support on Outlook for Android will be available at launch in February of next year. Coming soon to Outlook for Windows, the ability to create a Teams meeting by default when scheduling a meeting. This functionality is already available for those using Outlook on the web or the latest version on macOS. So look forward to catching up with the rest of us in January, Windows users. For our GCC friends, Microsoft 365 Groups will soon support sensitivity labels to help manage privacy and external access. When creating labels, admins will now see a new Site and Groups settings page with options to specify privacy and external access settings for Office 365 Groups and group-connected team sites. Here's a name I haven't gotten to talk about in a while, Access. Microsoft has begun work on a Dataverse, formerly known as Common Data Service, and Microsoft Teams Connector, bridging the gap between one of the biggest and oldest names in databases and our shiny modern future. There isn't much information available just yet, but its release isn't expected until June of 2021, so there's still some time. Has doom scrolling come to the intranet? You'll be the first to know with the new Active Time Reports. These reports aggregate data on the amount of time that users are spending on your intranet sites. Now, whether spending a lot of time is a good or a bad thing remains to be seen, but you won't have to wait long to dig in. The roadmap indicates that this feature is beginning to roll out now. The Office portal, available at office.com, recently underwent a refresh, and it looks like we're not done yet. Microsoft is working on a new catch-up pane for the landing page, a single place for you to catch up on all activity related to content you've shared or was shared with you, including comments, @mentions, changes to documents you've recently worked on, and more. Hot on the tail of Microsoft lists officially rolling out worldwide, things are starting to look a little crowded in the toolbar. Microsoft is preparing to roll out a new single integrate drop-down menu to replace the separate Power Apps and automate menu items currently available. The phrasing of the roadmap indicates that this may not just be about cleaning up the toolbar, however, and may hint at an increased focus on integrations with other services and Microsoft lists. Rollout appears slated for later this month, so keep your eyes peeled, those of you in targeted release.
That was the news.
All right, thanks for those updates, Sean. First off, gotta pour one out for IE11. You will not be missed, absolutely. No. But Sean, what is your top topic for this week? Topic. Yes,
I would be lying if I didn't say that the thing I'm most interested in out of all of this is the Slack acquisition, because my God, like, talk about something that had been, much rumored, not just by Salesforce, but by Amazon, by Apple at one point, all rumors, of course, but the scale of what this means for the industry is impossible to understate,
Why is it impossible? So let me put this from I don't follow the tech news entirely, and you're in the Bay Area, so literally you probably can see Salesforce Tower, the very phallic shaped building in the middle of San Francisco.
They're our neighbors.
Right. And I hate CRMs. Doesn't matter if it's Salesforce or if it's Dynamics or if it's anything else. I just hate customer relationship managers because I find them to be very annoying. None of them does a good job, in my opinion. I'm not the biggest fan of Slack. I do use Slack on a regular basis for a couple clients and other work groups that I'm in. I don't like their user interface. So Salesforce, which has a bunch of customer data about about customers squared, now has or will gain access to conversations directly from new, customers that they're going to have by acquiring Slack. In fact, I think one of my favorite tweets I saw about this was a reporter from the Washington Post pointing out, boy, Salesforce, that was a great way to get all of the insider commentary going on inside at the Washington Post, because apparently they use Slack. And a lot of the news agencies do. I know Vox.com does, because they talk about it on their podcasts a lot. But why is that a big deal to you? I see that as being, okay, they acquired them, Salesforce. It's kind of like they're trying to build a customer base or a customer knowledge source that's similar to Microsoft. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I allude to it a little bit in the news. It's less this singular acquisition and more the increasing trend of their acquisitions. Heroku, Quip, which is, time and task management, project management.
I thought you meant the toothbrush.
Yeah, they're diversifying.
Again, I don't live in the Bay Area.
Tableau, which is
Yep, I know
ostensibly
Tableau.
the richer Power BI, and that's up
Yeah,
for debate,
sure.
but I think that it's the less Excel-ish version of Power BI.
Yeah.
And you see that all in a big picture sense, and it's really hard to ignore that Salesforce is positioning themselves as, they've always positioned themselves as a platform, but you're starting to see what I've described them as a mega platform, similar to what Amazon has become, similar to what Microsoft has become, what Google has become. So it's less about the now and more about, reading the tea leaves a little bit and seeing how they're, widening their user base, as you've described, but also what it means for the future of work, Microsoft's favorite phrase. Mm-hmm. Because, Slack is really kind of, their bread and butter has been what comes after email. And their advertising has increasingly become about that, what comes after email. But it's no secret that Slack has also been investing a lot of work in working with email. They recently rolled out the ability to have unique email addresses associated with channels. They recently announced Slack Connect, which would allow you to...
Oh, they're catching up to Teams is what you're saying.
Well, it goes a little bit beyond that, because the ability to... Because right now I can't just say @Matt Wade and DM you in your Teams tenant. I have to be invited as a guest, and I have to become a part of your infrastructure. But what Slack
That's
Connect
not true.
Oh,
You can do that. You just have to enable. You have to enable external connections. It's possible. It's just not very common. You can even message Skype users if you want to. But
oh god,
I know Skype Consumer and Skype for Business. Believe it or not, it's just not something that's very common, and it's actually very clunky, annoyingly clunky, unfortunately. So you're wrong, and I can't. And it feels so great to tell you that, but you're not fully wrong, because it's a terrible user experience. So very few people do it.
Your witness.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, but you take a look at where they're going with this, and it's not hard to see Salesforce investing in what the future of an enterprise platform looks like.
Yeah.
You said you had a disdain for CRMs, but the reality is an organization that needs a CRM, the reason they all suck is because they're allowed to suck, because an organization needs them. But email is interchangeable. Right?
Yeah,
the ability to jump
true.
between Gmail and Office 365 and Yahoo is not that dramatic of an experience outside of user-facing features, but the functionality is there.
How dare you leave AOL out?
Do you still have your AOL? I've got mine.
I do not. I paid 14 cents for on eBay for a Gmail invitation back in 2004, and that will be the old man claim of mine to the next generation someday in the future. I do not have AOL. I don't go back that far, unfortunately.
I spent $10 on my Gmail invite from eBay. It was my first eBay purchase.
Yeah, same, actually, yeah. From my dorm room in college, absolutely, yeah. All
So
right, fair
I
enough.
think there's some exciting stuff coming here, but I'll go ahead and let sleeping dogs lie, and I'm sure the comments will have more to say on this soon. What caught your attention? I'm curious.
All right, so one of my interesting ones I thought was the Teams public preview, which is a nice replacement for the fact that there isn't really a targeted or early release option for Microsoft Teams, which has always been sort of a disappointment, because a lot of those features can be really good to kind of play around with before they go out to everybody. And for those of you that aren't familiar with targeted release in Office 365, it gives you the opportunity to roll out new features to people, individuals, or the whole organization early, so that you have the new features as early as possible. But it also means that you can assign them to individuals. So the Teams public preview now gives some of these earlier features out to you. I have a feeling this is probably as a result of the breakout rooms issue, I'll say, because that went out as private preview to a number of universities and schools over the summer. And I don't know how they chose those people or those organizations. I would like to guess that it was probably large, influential customers that had a big need, but there very well could have been like smaller ones that just, we're good at giving feedback. So of course the value from Microsoft in that respect. But the ability to get public preview, I think, is good. Were there any more details from that you saw in that report on public preview?
One that I think something that I may or may not have mentioned is that it's rolling out now. It's actually available in my targeted release tenant. The irony that they're rolling it out to targeted release.
Gotta love it. Yep, that's great. But
so
I think the early access is good.
It's available in the same way that policies can be applied within Teams currently already. So the ability to target it based on what part of the organization they're in, things to that effect. But that's really the short of it. One thing that I do want to highlight that it's always tough in these bite-sized segments to really hit all the details, but that it's opt-in, which is to say that this functionality is not surfaced to the end user at all by default. The admin has to opt the users in on either a per user or per policy basis, and then the user themselves has the option of opting in. So it's kind of
wow,
double
I didn't catch
layers.
that. Huh. I never trust a system that requires the user to actually pay attention and then take action. That could be a downfall to the system. So I think you have to communicate and train.
It's very clearly Microsoft trying to find the balance between this private preview experience and the kind of carte blanche. The admin opts the user in, the user has no idea and just sees potentially broken features or potentially half-baked features. Coming back to what you had said about the private preview element of that, I think that kind of self-selection of who your testers is going to be always leads to these surprises when functionality rolls out and you're like, we had no idea people would use the functionality. Yeah, because you had your small pool of of known quantities, and it's not what you want at the end of the day. It's not easy to deal with, a nerd like you or me who just blindly wanders into a feature and goes, well, this is stupid, but that's the kind of feedback that you need sometimes.
Right, exactly. You don't want friendly testers. You want maybe not, belligerent testers, but you want people that are going to try to break the thing and make sure that they're going to try to use it the way they really would want to use it in real life.
Passively hostile is the way I describe it. Which is
I
to
love
say,
that. That's a great term.
I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, but the minute I see something I disagree with, I've got thoughts.
Passively hostile. That's good. Okay, so that brings us on to the community aspect for this week. First up is going to be the upcoming events for the rest of December. It's actually kind of a light rest of the month, but the holidays are coming up, so that would make kind of sense. First up, December 8th and 9th is the AvePoint M365 Community Talks webinar. You can still sign up for that. December 9th through 11th is the Microsoft 365 Collaboration Virtual Conference. Remember, that's the SharePoint conference, has rebranded to the Microsoft 365 Collaboration Conference, and they have now started offering some online events. December 15th, this is new on our list since last week, is Microsoft Envision, which is a co-hosted event from Microsoft, Accenture, and Avanade, which means that it is a just huge consulting opportunity for them. But I'll just read you what it is directly from their website in their marketing speech, which is the event where business leaders from across the globe connect with one another, share perspectives, and discuss what's ahead in this era of digital disruption. A lot of mention of business leaders, so take that for what it is. December 12th, M365 Saturday, Bangalore, and December 19th, M365 Coimbatore. And that brings us also to the community content of the week. Today I wanted to highlight John Moore. John Moore is a Microsoft Teams expert, and you'll find him on a number of social media channels, but the one that I really wanted to highlight is his YouTube channel. He is an absolute expert in pretty much everything Microsoft Teams. He does a deep dive every week into something related to Teams, usually a weekly tip. I think he does those on Tuesdays. So great for the everyday person, but also he's like best known for all things OBS, DNI, and like all the cool acronyms for making the most of live events and video in M365. This week he was using a Raspberry Pi to basically broadcast a video out to YouTube, Facebook, Yammer, and a couple other things. So he like geeks out to the extreme, but all in a great way. So if you don't know who John Moore is, definitely follow him. If you do a lot of stuff with video and you want to, do green screens, replacing backgrounds, live events, video production, that kind of stuff, he always uses his Mario, Peach, and Luigi stuffed animals, and he has different devices where he has them all hooked up to different computers, and you'll see which one is which based on who is on that. So he does a bunch of deep dive videos. We're not talking 4-minute overviews of using OBS and DNI, right? Like these are like 15, 20, 30, sometimes 45-minute videos, but you are going to find out every little tweak, niche detail that you want to find out when it comes to doing these videos in live events or in Teams itself. So definitely check that out. So that's the community aspect for the week. Sean, anything else from your end?
No, I think that's everything. I'm really interested to see what the community feedback's going to be on this particular episode.
We're going to find out how many people love Slack.
Oh, I'm excited. We're out there. There are dozens of us.
We listen to you. Oh, man. No, there's more than dozens. I've had the argument way too many times.
But yeah, no, I think that about does it for us, Matt. So for those of you watching at home, I hope you're at home. Please stay at home. A like and a subscribe is much appreciated. And stay tuned for next week when we come back and we have more M365 news for you.
It's just unnecessary.
I'm now playing the role of Microsoft. Don't forget we're investing in PowerShell Core.
I don't even know what that is. That makes me sound that's terrifying. What is PowerShell Core?
It's their cross-platform PowerShell.
Don't expand PowerShell. Kill PowerShell.
No, they're going cross-platform. PowerShell.
But I don't want them to. I don't want more PowerShell. I don't want it to be more accessible. I want it to force them to kill it, so they build it into the GUI.
No, they're throwing so much at this. Yeah, you can already run like PMP stuff, I think, on or at least the O365 CLI and stuff like that, already available on PowerShell Core.